All right, so DeFi continues to be pretty much one of the wonder kids of what's happening in crypto and blockchain right now. Obviously, with some of the fallout and contagion of FTX, DeFi has been one of the big gainers. And to many, DeFi is looked at and has been looked at maybe in a quasi questionable area. I think that is now starting to change. So we're seeing a lot of people, not only here in the US, but abroad, really start to move more strategically into the DeFi zone. So we wanted to dive in a little deeper today and really kind of focus in on a project that I think you guys are going to love. But anyway, we'll get into that deep. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get into it today with Hamzah Khan. He is the head of DeFi over at Polygon. So Hamzah, great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Polygon, well known for a lot of layer two activities, everything from partnerships with major companies to unbelievable NFT programs to just an absolute range of tool sets from dApps and things of that nature that have really kind of accelerated Polygon into the forefront of the crypto scene. But DeFi is one of, I think, the core strengths of Polygon. I'd love to kind of hear your input a little bit about, first of all, the current state of where Polygon DeFi is. We'll get into ecosystem and all that good stuff, and then also what's your kind of your day to day there.
Yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, so just to give a little history, so I had joined Polygon like 2 years ago when there was practically no DeFi on Polygon. There was only one
Right.
project called Quickswap. And now I don't know like how many projects we have, like 500, 600,000 projects, just DeFi. So it has been a long ride. Right now, Polygon DeFi has the most amount of users, the most volume, the most even without an exchange. Sometimes even without an exchange, like a deep relations with an exchange, we still do the highest, the second highest volume, second or third highest volume, depends on the day.
Right.
And this is before, we also have a Robinhood non-custodian wallet launching by, I think, by end of year or early January.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to launch, which has already like 1.5 million signups. I'm pretty excited about that to launch. Then then Polygon DeFi has always been, has always been home to, new and innovative projects. So we have a lot of builders building in the NFT DeFi space, people building in the consumer finance lending space, a lot of like lending protocols, dexes, decentralized exchanges, as you saw with with the contagion of FTX. You saw that exchanges are with all the proof of reserves, like exchanges had to show proof of reserves, but
Right.
with a decentralized exchange, you really never need to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the focus, where people, because of low gas and low latency, people feel that building products for retail is very helpful. But we have coming ZK technologies, where with Ethereum security you can build like whatever you want, and your funds will be as secure on a platform as secure as Ethereum. So I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
want to
excited
get
about.
Yeah, I want to get into that a little bit for, some of our audience, maybe they're brand new to DeFi and maybe they haven't even, really explored a DEX to its entirety yet. But more importantly, when you look at the ZK EVMs and a lot of the rollups that are happening out there, obviously Polygon Ethereum, probably the poster child, I think, of the ZK aspect and how we'll see Ethereum virtual machines really kind of convert. But give our audience a basic understanding of what that means from a dApp developer. In most cases, most people would recognize app developers, and why that is so important in being able to jump to a layer two like Polygon.
Yeah, absolutely. So on a high level, on the practical aspect of it, it doesn't change. Nothing changes for you. So you just have to copy your code, or copy your Ethereum code or your Polygon POS code, and just paste it on ZK. That's it. And
Yep.
change one or two lines here and there. But practicality wise, nothing changes. But from a architecture and technology point of view, everything changes, because now you are building on an infrastructure that is as secure as Ethereum, that is secured by Ethereum. So what that means is even I'll give you an example. So before this, you could do it on alt layer ones,
Right.
which have their own ecosystem, have their own validators, and you are seeing that there have been significant issues. Since Terra, there have been issues with alt layer ones. The ecosystem is kind of dying out, and developers have moved into the Ethereum ecosystem. You must have seen Phantom Wallet, Magic
Right.
Eden,
Yep.
a bunch of other guys who just moved to the Ethereum ecosystem because they understand that it is very important to expand out of all layer ones, which is practical. But it is also very important that teams who are building on layer twos, like they are building at the same Ethereum security but at a lower gas.
Yeah.
And how that works, if you want, I can get into that, like the math of ZK and like why ZK is important. Because I'll just give an example. So because if any transaction, so what you're doing is basically you're taking a bunch of transactions, putting them into a mathematical proof, and pushing
Yep.
that to Ethereum. And now anyone on Ethereum can prove that, okay, like this works. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I
Like
think a lot of people
high
understand kind of
level.
the batch protocol that comes in because banking has been doing that for years. Businesses
Right.
have understand that. So that makes perfect sense. The other aspect, obviously, with the roll up and what you see in the just in terms of TPS with Ethereum, 30 transactions versus you guys, I think, up around 2,000 transactions, 3,000 transactions. Um, Quite a bit in terms of speed. And when you look at transactions per second and where the growth of it is, especially in layer two, what kind of applications and dApps do you think are really going to be able to utilize that kind of speed? Where would you see some of the strengths in future dApp developers? Is it all going to be in the DeFi space, or do you think it would be something like in retail, much like the partnership you guys did with Starbucks?
Yeah, retail. I think retail, because these are I don't know, this is called, I think, high fidelity, because a lot of these recurring, because like finance
Right.
is something that payments is one vertical which has high low transaction time. So you really need to do a lot of transactions, and because forex and these kind of things are settlements, and these kind of things are very they had to be done a lot over a short period of time. So that is very important. Then yeah, I think social media, like Lens, you are already seeing that data on Polygon today, where Lens is the biggest gas consuming protocol
Right. Mhm.
on Polygon. Then I think games are pretty, because if you build like on chain games, then they are all going to hit the chain more times, and hit the chain more times, and start communicating a lot. So that will require a lot of transactions, microtransactions, and that'll have gas. So that's what we are seeing with DeFi. Like I think with retail applications will require a lot of low gas environment, and that's what we are seeing on
Right.
Polygon.
We do want to thank our sponsor today. That is Trezor.io. Make sure and check them out. Safe place for your coins. If you guys are not self-custodying right now, what are you doing? You should be. We teach this and coach this all the time. Self-custody is really kind of the number one spot to be. If you are having to go on exchanges, do it in a way that you're in, you're out, and get back into your self-custody position. And Trezor is a great partner. And of course, it's a safe place to check your coins out. Also, you can get into the coins themselves. So just a lot of times people don't realize how many coins are available on the Trezor and what you can do with it. Tradable in the Suite app, which is similar to other apps out there. I won't mention names, but you've got, of course, all the majors, including even stable coins and even things like XRP. So jump into Trezor. Just use the link below for that. I was looking at this chart. This is January 2018. Total digital asset market was about 800 billion now, and you see it now 2,300% increase from its 2018 period. But obviously, a lot happening here in the space around DeFi. Pretty much kind of has consumed this area. And then the alternative layer ones, this would be Polygon, would be falling into that. Really some big growth here overall in terms of Ethereum and kind of how this is going. Now, again, many people would look, okay, so you've got NFTs, you got gaming, you got retail coming into it, a lot of other things that are going to, outside of DeFi and what we'll see in decentralized finance. But when you look at this and think about the fact that this market is still very, very early, somewhat would look at this market and say it's in its incubator stage. That being the case, is a platform like Polygon capable of scaling at the level in which maybe this market could scale in the next 5 years? Because we could see mass adoption coming at us pretty quickly, say the next 18 to 24 months, a lot more levels. And then another 3 years or maybe another 24 months after that, we could be on a very sharp bell curve up into mass adoption from mainstream. If that is the case, and we all think that that's where blockchain is going, how will Polygon be able to handle that kind of move? Because Starbucks is just one entity. Could you imagine the top 1,000 restaurant concepts or the top 1,000 retailers out there utilizing something like a Polygon? How would you guys be able to handle that?
Yeah, for sure. That's a very good question, because like people have to understand that Polygon has. So how we think of the space is basically like there have to be two types of chains. One is a shared chain, like Polygon POS, ZK EVM.
Right.
These are shared servers or shared space, basically, where you share the base layer with a number of protocols. For whatever reason, you need composability. Like DeFi needs composability for like Aave to work with Curve, to work with
Right.
1 inch. They all need to be in one base layer, but not all applications need to be like that. Are like that. So, for example, Starbucks, where it is doing its loyalty points, minting, and all of that, and NFTs, it doesn't really need to be composable with everything else. So that's why they have their own, and this will be coming in the future. That we Most of these like Web 2 companies, when they start start onboarding lot of projects, they have to be taking their own chain, building their own chain via supernets.
Okay.
It's where you can have your own select validators, bring some people from outside, and then control the and not control, but like tune. What I mean by tune and configure what gas you need, what block size you need, all these kind of things,
Hmm.
consensus you need on that chain. But still, it will be decentralized. Users will be able to own their assets, and if they do not like whatever that particular company is doing, they can move those assets back to Ethereum, or sorry, back to Polygon POS.
Yeah.
Depends on
Yeah.
how they want it.
So that at least would be able to handle scalability. At least it's
Yes.
in the level of what we're looking at, for growth in blockchain and what that might look like. Obviously,
Right.
Ethereum, Polygon, kind of tied at the hip. I remember a couple of tweets by Sandeep where he was kind of talking about the fact that it's an all-in kind of scenario. Does ETH benefit from Polygon, or do you think it's a completely separate, model of how the two are kind of attached at the hip? Obviously, with Ethereum, the base layer, and with what Polygon is doing to really kind of amp up just some of the services, obviously the DApp ecosystem. But how do you feel like, does ETH benefit from Polygon more so, or does Polygon benefit from ETH?
No, no. So with all the layer 2s coming up, with all the layer 2 ZK EVM coming up,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely benefits, because like it is Ethereum Layer 2, and all the adoption that is coming. See, there are two things here. One is like you're technologically aligned, which I mean, even today the validators pay all the bridging costs, and like all of the commits that happen on Ethereum. Validators still pay ETH to final settlement happens on final commit happens on ETH. So users, when they move from Polygon to Ethereum, they still pay ETH gas on one side and MATIC on the other side. So people are still paying gas. We are Polygon POS is what, one of the top 5 or top 6 most used
Right.
app. Polygon
Mm-hmm.
POS bridge, not anything else.
Right.
Polygon POS.
Yep.
But with layer 2s, with ZK EVM, things will completely change, because it will be 100% secure, and and it will be Ethereum layer 2. So the zk validate so the zk sequencer, or will be putting proofs on Ethereum and paying gas for Ethereum block. And that Ethereum block, like if you are paying gas for the Ethereum block, we are definitely, that's the whole point of Ethereum layer 2s. And definitely, like, Ethereum will scale, I think, because of one major reason will be because of Polygon. And it has happened before, like
Sure.
we were, standing with Ethereum for philosophically. And I think no one has put that amount of capital into, with all the ZK acquisitions. We did like about $1 billion dollar of acquisitions. So I think no one, no other chain or no other VC, so to say, has put that much capital into, infrastructure for Ethereum.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get into lending and borrowing efficiencies. Do you feel like this is helping or hurting DeFi right now? And let me show you a tweet that actually came out on Polygon DeFi. So lending, borrowing, fintechs, finance, opportunity to engage in new efficiencies in this efficient and real-time lending and borrowing. Do you feel like this is something that, and let me kind of pop this out of here just to give you guys a little bit of understanding of what's happening right there. This is an example of where we're seeing growth in this area. What do you think about lending efficiencies as a whole? Because this is something that we are going to continue to see. I would see, especially around DeFi, continue to be a major part of this. How do you think this plays out?
I think it's definitely very, very important, because uh, sorry, one second. I think it's very, very important um, because like there are two. How I think of DeFi, this was very early on when very few DeFi was there. Was how I think of DeFi is basically like in traditional finance, like in real world. Basically, what do we do with our assets? We either trade them for something else, like we buy food with cash,
Yeah,
or we buy car with cash. Like that's a trade, correct? Or if we have dollars, we either invest in something, we either invest in stocks, we invest in, that's also a trade. But like, we buy bonds, we put it in the bank for yield, we buy T-bills or whatever. Like that, there are two things. One is you trade for something, second is you get yield. That's the fundamental. uh, Apart from that, I mean, there would be something, but like most of it would be these two things. uh, Now, when you look at it on the blockchain, it's just the same thing. Like Uniswap is letting you allow, or now with NFTs also, you can go from cash, I mean USDC,
right.
to a punk, or USDC to ETH. That's essentially swap. Then the other thing
Yeah.
is like Aave, Compound, Euler, Ovix, all these guys, they are building infrastructure to provide yield. It's as simple as that. And like some technology is better than the other. Some provide different assets. Some provide better liquidations. It's just a
So you
like,
feel that it's helping DeFi in general, the efficiencies. This is not hurting DeFi. It's helping
oh yeah,
DeFi
yeah,
in
of
terms. Yeah.
course.
Okay.
Of course it
All
is.
right.
Of course it is helping, like, because it's on the blockchain. It is public. Anyone can fork it if it is not good. And like the best person wins.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Hamza, when you look at, all right, so you kind of compare where banks are going right now. We've seen more and more banks starting to move into the space. Fidelity just launched their program for crypto investments. How long before we might see MATIC, much like Bitcoin and even Ethereum to a certain extent, around being held for custody from maybe some of the financial institutions out there? Do you think that's something that we'll see soon, or do you think MATIC will ever make it into that kind of level?
I mean, we were already. This was 2 3 months ago. Grayscale, large cap. Was it
Hmm.
large cap? I think Grayscale is one of
Yeah,
the
they were
one of
holding
the
it.
big
Yep.
products. Yeah, one of the big. I don't know exact the name of the product, but Grayscale already had BTC, ETH, Matic, Cardano, um, and one something. Yeah, I think these 4 or 5 assets were there. So which is like a big deal, for us.
Yeah.
And we were like way ahead than some other projects. So it is a big deal for us, because a big deal not for us, but just for the fact that you know institutions are accepting the fact that smart contract layers and layer twos, smart contract platforms and layer twos have so much to offer.
Yeah.
And it's just going up from here. Like I think
Yeah, I
it's
think the
just going
banks, yeah, to your point, I think the banks they kind of get it, in the sense of this is going to be one of the major parts of blockchain in the future. I want to do a rundown of just some of the things that Polygon has done, and your opinion quickly on each one in terms of the future of that. Let's go into retail for a second and just look at the program with Starbucks and what they've been able to do with their CRM. Probably one of the biggest and largest digital platforms for customers in terms of mobile devices and interaction. Their digital ecosystem is I would say unmatched. Polygon now a big part of that. Do you feel like this is just the first stone to turn in the retail sector, or do you feel like this is going to be one of those things that takes some time to build out into the retail sector? How fast, I guess, is the question, do you think we'll see more adoption?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things coming. There are a lot of things.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I think there are. I mean, I think we don't talk too much about it, but like there is one major. I mean, I can say it public now because it is minted already. So, Lemon Cash, which is one of the biggest fintechs, I think first or second biggest fintech in
Mm-hmm.
Argentina.
Yeah.
And I think we should talk more about it. Is that, I mean, of course, Starbucks and all is good, and of course, like Starbucks is like a huge deal.
Yes.
But Lemon Cash, where you know the last mile crypto adoption will come from emerging countries, and that is retail. Like that is not even like first world retail. That's like emerging markets where crypto has the power to really show what it is. Like like stay with inflation rid economies where Argentina has like what 60%, 70% inflation year on year, and like these kind of numbers make you realize like what the hell is happening in the world. Yes. They minted over 400,000 or 500,000 their avatar NFTs. So in their mobile wallet, um, all the users, when you sign up, you get a Polygon NFT, and that NFT
Okay.
basically has different traits. And what they're trying to do is very cool stuff where they're trying to like have a marketplace for those traits on Polygon. So basically, if I have a guy with a cool glasses, you have someone with a good tattoo. I want to trade for that, and then you can do that. Like that kind of stuff is so powerful for user retention. But that is like the cool part. But the more important part is that the stable coin adoption in Argentina, in Brazil, with Nubank, which is the biggest digital asset bank,
Right.
uh, not digital asset, just digital bank,
Mm-hmm.
neobank in all of Latam with about 50 million users, has started to build their own chain. They build their own supernet. Um, then Ripio has already announced, which is I think one of the biggest Argentinian custodial exchanges, building a full DeFi, counterpart to their business, and like do a lot of like stable coin adoption. So that is like the retail which I'm more interested about. Bring crypto to the last mile, because if we still continue to do this among ourselves, then
Yeah.
we have not done justice to the great technology that Satoshi and like everyone
Yeah.
back in the day. So we have to be
Well, I
very
would say
cognizant.
here, yeah, and then here in the United States, the digital, you look at the DeFi wallet with just your partnership with Robinhood. That I think it would be an equivalent level of something
Yes.
like Lemon Cash. And with that kind of potential of what that may look like, obviously segueing in a large demographic that really aligns well with crypto that maybe have not completely gone into, even though a lot of people on Robinhood wallets or Robinhood right now do invest in crypto. How far do you think that's going to go with Robinhood? Do you think they're going to have a successful rollout with this? or is it going to be one of those things where we see a little bit of a slow curve in terms of adoption, mainly because of where the current market situation is?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know, to be honest, like, because I hope it grows, it pumps, like the adoption, one day 500K users come up. But no, I understand that the markets, and especially macro, is not that good. But you
Right.
have to understand that they have. I remember they were telling me that 22 million users that they have on their main wallet. 16 or 15 million users already have traded crypto.
So let's wrap up here, Hamza, and I want to get into kind of the centralized nature of mini tokens out there and projects in general. You look at the challenges that Solana has faced, obviously more on kind of a victim scenario because of the FTX debacle. But with that, it does start to take people to look at the market and say, are others possibly at risk for centralized nature, much like Solana was? And it has suffered. Now, granted, it may make a full recovery. We'll see. Is MATIC and or Polygon in those kinds of scenarios in terms of centralized and potentially exposed for any kind of potential problems in the future? Where do you guys feel your strengths are?
Yeah, to be honest, I think like, I don't want to comment on any other project. Like, I'll stay away from that. I think everyone is trying their hard to to
Sure.
push this space, and best of luck to everyone. But one very important thing is, like, this: we have been cognizant of this fact for a long time, and of this fact for a long time, and we are actively working on redelegation and like, rebalancing, with some of we speaking to some of our validators, and we are actively working on that. And I think the major strength for us is, like, transparency. All of these things happen publicly, in the Discord, and on the forum.polygon.technology.
Right.
So sorry. So I think one very important strength for us is, like, just transparency on anything, whether
Sure.
foundation moves any wallets, or moves any tokens, or we redelegate, or like delegate, or like whatever it is. I think that will continue to happen. But yes, people should definitely look and judge by yourselves, because financial health is more important than a lot of things in the space.
Right.
And only allocate as much as you can, only as per your risk appetite, I mean. Because definitely we are so early in this space, and, like, all good things will take time
To
to
develop.
mature. And
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, and please do your due diligence for sure.
Yeah, and I think everybody, Polygon, very open to your point. You guys have been very exposed in terms of transparency. I think that is the first step in the right direction, is making sure that these projects are revealing, everything from their tokenized or their tokenomics, and how that plays into the marketplace. So definitely good to see you guys doing that. Hamzah, it's been great having you on. Thanks for stopping in today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so sorry for not coming on time. It's
No worries.
sincere apologies.
No, not a problem.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
You
you so
bet.
much. Thank you, guys.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, so guys, we're gonna kind of wrap this up, but I wanted to hit on a couple points here with Polygon in general. When you look at the growth potential of where this project goes, and what Hamzah was talking about, I thought when we hit on a couple of points there, scalability of being able to really kind of deal with these next layer of markets. I was not aware of the Lemon project in Argentina, so that is surprising, because he's right. It's a level event that could really onboard a lot of users in crypto in general, which is going to be able to grow these ecosystems, much like what we've seen with Polygon. The other thing that I think is going to be playing into this is going to be the wallet side. And if you look at, this was just a story that we had here on Phantom, which was pivoting to Ethereum and Polygon now to become a multi-chain wallet. Remember, this was the Solana wallet, okay? So they themselves are looking at multiple aspects in terms of cross-chain and multi-chain. So I think this is a big deal. The other thing that is brewing is Polygon's partnership levels, because remember, we've talked about that many times. Make sure and check our playlist out. But there's a lot happening with obviously Meta you'll see more in the retail sector. And then the Robinhood component, I think, are going to be pretty big. So when you can kind of compare what Reddit was doing, this is Reddit avatar minting, starts in December. This is, again, new all-time high. But I think that we may see this actually really come to the level of really mass adoption is when a major player like Meta, Facebook in essence, really comes into this space. And I think that is going to be the big one that really kind of moves it forward. Polygon also did a deal with Flipkart. They announced a strategic partnership, which again goes back to the retail sector that we've been talking about. I think the Starbucks piece is really just the, just the beginning of a huge flywheel coming at it for sure. A couple other things. Their loyalty programs, this was the point that we were getting at there. Loyalty programs now have recently picked up as one of the significant use cases for blockchain and its underlying tech. So I think that also goes back to my point on retail, another big potential. But I would agree with Hamzah is that the onboarding and the inroads to crypto in general are really going to be held in a lot of these digital banks and digital services that are out there, neobanks as they're like to call it. You look at Revolut, Lemon, which apparently is another aspect from South America, and what that might look like. And then you've got Robinhood here in the United States, which I think is going to get very, very creative and probably push a lot of other banks into this kind of scenario, which is going to potentially open up potential inroads for Polygon, mainly because of the necessity to handle those transactions. So again, all these things pointing in the right direction, I think, for where DeFi might be positioning, especially as it's related to Polygon. All right, make sure, and if you're tuned in over on the podcast, jump over here to the YouTube channel. This is a place to catch it all. And also, remember, get in the Diamond Circle. It is our free service. And the way it works is very simple. You just go over to pbn3.com or paulbaronnetwork.com. You'll find us. And click the link below, you join, you get a couple of emails. We do a lot of content in there that we don't do here. And then we also give you access to other things like member discounts, some other things. We just had a big Black Friday sale that was like a 50% off for all of our Diamond Circle members. And a lot of you guys have asked us to extend that. I don't know if we'll extend it, but we'll probably open up another deal for Diamond Circle members. So make sure and use that. If you guys want to reach me, it is out there on Twitter, @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.